Sorry. I'd like to welcome Ms. Mary Batayne, Ms. Mary Nazal Batayne, President of Landmark Hotel, to tell us a bit more about the corporate responsibility and the sustainability focus of Landmark Hotel.
Right. So I think the question is, why is Landmark committed to CSR or CR or CER? I think it's all one umbrella.
Where did the principle come from?
I think, look, for us, it's very simple. It's not a matter of giving back to the community, because we are the community. And it's in our best interest as the community to worry about the environment, about fairness, about human rights, about transparency, about ethical practices. So it's not as if, we're a corporation behind a veil, giving these arm's length giveaways or whatever. It's much more hands-on because it's our future. It's the future of our children.
How is that important for the business?
I mean, it's all, let's say, for example, we have 300 employees, okay? We want the best from them, and the way we can get the best from them is to give them the best, right?
Okay.
And even broader than that, these 300 individuals represent the society that we're in, and they represent the problems that this society is facing. So through them, through engaging with them on many levels, we can work through some very serious problems, like the role of women in business, for example, which is something that we've been working on recently in commemoration of International Women's Day. That's just one example. Another example is our supply chain. So that's something that we've been working on as well, to institute an ethical supply chain. And as Landmark, we have over 1,000, 2,000 suppliers of various sizes. So if we start explaining to them these very basic principles of, being fair, being transparent, being, not accepting underage employment and whatnot, it creates an incredible ripple effect throughout the whole society. I mean, let's say we have one woman employee and we teach her about saving water, right? For our own business, like we are trying to save water for our own business, for our cost and for the environment, and we teach her that and she implements it in her house. That's one household who will now start saving water. And in Jordan, that's our, the most scarce resource there is. And the same thing applies to our supplier. I mean, the same model. So it's an incredible ripple effect. And we, as Landmark, we have a platform which almost gives us the obligation to do these things. It's like we're a citizen. I mean, all citizens, they have rights, but they have obligations. And it's the same thing for a company. Like, we're lucky enough to own a company. We have obligations that come along with it. And it's not a burden. It's more like an opportunity to use this platform.
Okay.
For many different levels, whether it's environmental, social, women, I mean, everything. The platform is open.
Okay, and in going through this journey of implementing your responsibility practices, what are the challenges or maybe some of the obstacles that you faced as a hotel or as a citizen of this community?
I think some of the main obstacles occurred because of the country's infrastructure generally. Like, for example, with recycling, it took us a really long time to find a company that had the facilities to recycle. So the will may be there, but the infrastructure may not be there. And thankfully now we've found a company, and Landmark is proud to say, we recycle as much as we can, which is not everything as well, because the infrastructure isn't fully there. Another example is we wanted to, make the whole building full of photovoltaic, solar cells, so we could, power our property and then maybe power our community. How wonderful would that be? But the infrastructure for that isn't there either. So that's the limiting factor, but you always have to work within your environment, and we're trying to do that. Another obstacle, I think, is lack of knowledge. I mean, it's not so much an obstacle because it can always be countered through, awareness sessions, teaching and whatnot. It only becomes an obstacle when it results in a dismissive approach or an approach that undervalues what we're trying to do, which I haven't experienced with the Landmark team generally. I think the response has been really good on every level, environmental, social, economical, supply chain, you name it. it's been good, but I think it probably is an obstacle that some people would face.
And I'm also conscious that Landmark not only looks at these challenges and obstacles, but actually actively lobbies towards overcoming them. So you're not a pacifist; you're actually proactive in overcoming all these obstacles.
No, we see ourselves as an active participant for a change, and not only in terms of what our business objectives necessarily are, but because we have this platform and because people will listen to a locally run company, which we are, with high standards, which we achieve. We can use it as a platform to even lobby for human rights and for justice and for women's issues that don't necessarily fit within hospitality.
Okay.
But these are issues that afflict our whole society.
So as a business leader and as somebody that's going through this exercise or implementing or truly believes in corporate responsibility, what would be your advice for an organization that's just starting its journey?
Yeah. I think a few things. I think first of all, what you're doing is probably good, but it can be better. It's always better to institutionalize it in a way that moves it from a sporadic ad hoc type of thing, which we used to do, to a much more structured, strategic type of technique, which at the end of the day will give you more benefits. You as a company and your community and your team. So I think to move it from something ad hoc to something structured, and I think at least for us, we couldn't have done it by ourselves. I think that you need someone who specializes in it to help you do that, to help you come up with your policies, to help you, the first step really is to figure out where you are. You know what I mean? Where are you in terms of fairness, discrimination, child labor, environment? Figure out where you are and then set your goals. And I think you need some outside help, either on a consultancy basis or something to help you get there. But of course, then you make it your own. Like, you have to know what you want, but it's always good to have the guidance, which we did. So that would be, I think, the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice would be to filter it down throughout your team. I mean, there's no point in keeping it in the ivory tower of the business. At Landmark, we're aiming to have our team, the Landmark team, be the ambassadors for our program, not Mary Nazal sitting in our office doing it. I mean, that's not how we want to do it at all. So really to have your team be the ambassadors. Yeah.
Okay. I know you've invested a lot in putting together a code of ethics and investing a lot in your supply chain and focusing on having strategic corporate responsibility versus ad hoc. Where do you see yourself in the next year, 3 years, 5 years with respect to sustainability issues and corporate responsibility issues in the local community?
Right. I think there are many different levels. In terms of the environment, we are trying to be the leading hotel, at least in Jordan, to start. And like I said, we're doing recycling. We've recently built a mud hut. We're celebrating Earth Hour. I mean, all these steps combined, I think, will help us to that end. Secondly, in terms of our community engagement, what we hope to do is identify 2 local NGOs that really have a need for us, so we can assist them and they can assist us. It's not a one-way street. And we now have a strategic social committee whose job is basically to identify those organizations that we want to engage with. And so that's very exciting, because what we've done before is like I said, very sporadic, and now we're seeking to have a long-term relationship. And that could be having people from Poverty Pockets come and intern with us, get some on-the-job experience, and then possibly take hospitality as a career. Because the beauty with the hospitality industry is that you don't have to have, a million higher education degrees. You can come in having nothing, from nothing, and have the willpower and drive and become the general manager. I mean, at least that is our policy in Landmark. So we may engage with an organization that gives us those people and those women. I mean, we're trying to increase the number of women.
So you believe that sustainability is a valuable tool to help make hospitality a professional career as opposed to a dead-end job?
Sure, I think sustainability comes in on many levels. but I think it has to be genuine. Like, let's say Landmark as a brand is sustainable, right? We really have to be sustainable. Otherwise, our clientele will know it, whether they're locals or internationals. And I think if you do it in a genuine way, we will stand out. And I think we are already standing out. People know what we stand for, increasingly so. So in terms of brand differentiation, we're different to, X hotel that has no CSR policy or doesn't engage with the community at all. So I think it does help in terms of, our business is better because we are local, and we're engaged with our community.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I guess the final point would be that you don't, to agree with CSR doesn't have to be logical. Like, it's not like a logical thing. For me, it should be your gut reaction. I mean, we are the community. This is our future. You don't really need to think about it that much. You just do it, number one.
Believe in it.
Believe in it. And number two, it will give you and your team, the Landmark team, for example, a sense of pride in your institution. I've seen a difference in the team that they are more proud as a result of our CSR initiatives. So just to instill that sense of pride, it'll help.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, and it's great having you with us.